Howdy, Legendary Void here, and today I have a deck tech for y'all involving one of the cards from Wave 5, which is going to be Brainstorm. Now, Brainstorm is a really interesting card because he's similar to another one that we've seen before, being Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend, in that whenever he attacks and you flip at least one upgrade, you get to put one of those upgrades into your hand after the battle. And while that's not quite as strong as Optimus Prime's ability, in that he just gets to play an action after the battle, or during the battle, I guess. This is after the battle and it goes to your hand instead of being played. He has really strong potential with this sort of ability, as well as also having this ability in this alt mode, saying that whenever you flip to it, you get to look at the top card of your deck, and if it's an upgrade, you can play it. Now, there's a lot of ideas I've had for using both of those abilities, but the head that we're going to pair him with is going to be Freeze Out. Now, this one will give him Tough 3, as well as keep him alive for a little bit longer, seeing as he only has 1 defense and 12 health in his body mode. It is a completely different thing. But yeah, that's the main character of this deck, and this combination is going to make it 12 stars. And we do have 13 stars left, which we are going to play the aforementioned Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend. Now, this combination lets you play stuff off of whenever you're attacking. Basically meaning that anytime you attack with either one of these characters, you're almost always going to be getting to play cards off of what you flip. So it's a very strong combination, being to play both upgrades and actions. But yeah, everyone knows what Optimus Prime Battlefield Legend does. He grabs actions from the scrap pile whenever you flip to his alt mode, as well as having incredible stats, being an 8, 14, 2 for 13 stars. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the battle cards. This is a really fun deck, and I enjoy playing it. I have played a little bit at our local league, and it's done pretty well. It's a little inconsistent, even though it is a heavy blue deck, but you know, it does pretty well. It's fun to play, and I enjoy it. So hopefully you guys enjoy the deck tech, and let's go ahead and get into it. So starting off with our actions, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Heavy Handed. Since both these characters are going to be extremely tall, being 13 and 12, there's going to be a lot of characters that are going to be less stars than them, so you're going to be able to get that +2 Pierce 4 off of it, so it's very, very strong there. As well as also playing 3 copies of Leap into Battle, basically kind of the middleman between Heavy Handed and Steady Shot, gives you +3 with no added effects. And it's just a plain blue pip, so it's pretty good for whenever you just need to get some extra damage in, and plus it does give you the +3 attack whenever you flip it for Optimus Primes, so very, very strong. And since we are playing a good amount of actions and secret actions, we are going to be playing 3 copies of Brainstorm, especially whenever you flip this card off of Optimus Prime's attack flips. You can play actions from your hand, so if you didn't get to play the 2 actions that you wanted for the turn, whenever you played your 1 action for the turn, flipping a Brainstorm off Optimus is really nice for getting to play that on the attack, so basically giving a few more actions for the turn. And we also have 2 copies of Marksmanship. Now this one says anytime you have a ranged character on the battlefield, you get to do 2 damage to an enemy in bot mode. Now the only reason we're playing 2 copies of this instead of the full 3 is because there are a lot of characters nowadays that have body modes instead of bot modes, so it's going to be a little bit inconsistent there, meaning that you can't hit those characters at all with Marksmanship. You can't even target them when they're in alt mode or anything, so we're only running 2 because it is going to be a little bit harder to pull off now that body modes are a thing. Next, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Reclaim. Now this says put an upgrade from your scrap pile on the top of your deck. Now this works perfectly in conjunction with Brainstorm's alt mode ability. You get to look at the top card of your deck if it's an upgrade and play it. Being able to just put upgrades on top of your deck with Reclaim makes Brainstorm's ability really, really nice for pairing that together. So you do have to use your action for the turn, but getting to play an upgrade of your choice is very, very nice. And we're also playing, of course, 3 copies of Security Checkpoint, mainly just for the double blues, but because we are playing a large amount of actions, it is nice getting to play it and just get rid of all the upgrades from your opponent's hands, especially early on in the game, minimizing how much damage they can do by getting rid of their weapons from their hands. And the last action we're going to be playing is 3 copies of War of Attrition. It's a blue-green pip card saying that whenever you play it, you choose one of your opponent's characters and they do 1 damage to it. You can play all 3 of them in 1 turn, and then if you do play all 3, you get to heal 3 from one of your characters. And since we're going to be grabbing a ton of actions with Optimus Prime, War of Attrition seems like a really good card for us to be playing to our hands. So, very nice there. Now as for secret actions, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Sabotage Armaments when one of your characters defends. you get to scrap all of the attacker's weapons. So very nice there for defending against aggro decks, or even just Pierce decks with like fusion bores or crystal powers and that thing. Very nice for getting rid of those. We're also playing 2 copies of End Hostilities, meaning that any orange that is flipped by either player during one of your characters defending is instead a blue pip instead of an orange. So very strong card for defending against big bulky attacks from your opponent's cards whenever they play like a power punch and a supercharge. Just all that bold goes to nothing because all their orange goes to blue. And the last secret extra we're going to be playing is 3 copies of Hidden Fortification. When one of your characters defends, they get tough 3. Now this is an especially nice card for defending because you're guaranteed to at least flip 3 extra cards, which are usually going to be blue. Whereas Sabotage Armaments, you're not always going to have your opponent playing a weapon on the character they're swinging in with. And in Hostilities, you're not always going to be playing against an aggro deck. So Hidden Fort is the reason why we're playing all 3 of those as opposed to just 2. Because it's always going to be good flipping 3 more cards for defense. Now, as for weapons, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Multi-Missile Pod. Now, this says that you can only put it on planes or helicopters, which Brainstorm is indeed a plane. And since he has a lot of upgrade love, and he gets to pull a lot of them to his hand, or just play them in general, we're going to try and build up Multi-Missile Pods on him when we can. And it says when the upgraded character attacks, you may scrap this. And if you do, damage the enemy equal to the number of multi-missile pods scrapped from the upgraded character this battle. And since you can have all 3 of them in a weapon slot at once, you can do up to 6 damage to all of your opponent's characters, which is extremely strong if you can pull it off. There's not a lot of characters that can do it nowadays, but I feel like with the way Brainstorm and his effects work, multi-missile pod is definitely an option for him. Other weapons we're playing include 2 copies of Ion Blaster of Optimus Prime. Of course, this is really good card for Optimus to have. Obviously, giving him +2 and +1 defense and just taking up a weapon slot is extremely strong. And of course, we're going to be playing the Interdone Edition one just because the art is a lot cooler in that one. But yeah. And the last weapon we're playing is 3 copies of Paralyzobox. Now, since in most of the modes, excluding Optimus Prime's alt mode and freeze out, all the characters are going to be ranged, meaning that you'll be able to pull it to your hand anytime you flip it during battle. So if you can't get the Ion Blaster or the multi-missile pods, Paralyzobox is a good choice for once you know your opponent's deck color and what they're most likely to flip on their defense. You can definitely pull that to your hand, get that +4 attack, and start whamming on your opponent. As for defense, the only armor we're playing is 3 copies of Reinforced Plating. Since Brainstorm's going to be pulling a ton of upgrades to your hand, Reinforced Plating is especially nice because it is a blue pip. We don't need to play Sparring Gear because, of course, we're going to have them in our hands. But 3 copies of Reinforced Plating giving us tough 2 is especially nice. And lastly, our utilities, we're only playing 3, and they're, of course, going to be 3 copies of Cargo Trailer. So this kind of goes hand in hand with the way... with the reasoning that we're playing multi-missile pod. If you can get as many of them into your hand as possible with Brainstorm, or just play them, you can get them on the Optimus Prime, give him +9 attack, and then you start swinging for base 17, and it gets insane, just one-shotting people left and right. It's a very strong card if you can get all of them out, and with Brainstorm it makes it so much easier. And yeah, that's the deck tech. This deck is especially fun if you want to try and make it more central towards both upgrades and actions. I made it a little bit more action heavy than upgrade heavy, but Brainstorm's ability still can trigger if you do it right. Playing cards like Reclaim especially make his abilities more consistent. And even if you've used your flip for the turn, you can still grab whatever upgrade you want from the top of your deck with Brainstorm's body mode ability. It doesn't have to always be his alt mode, but it's especially nice when you do. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget, of course, smash like and subscribe. And as always, have a phenomenal day. Peace. I hit the table.